John is a meticulous and independent individual. He values his privacy and the personal space he has created for himself. He has a complicated relationship with his family, particularly his sister, which he has long tried to navigate with patience and understanding. It was precisely 7 in the morning when the resounding knock, it echoed through the residence. I opened the door to discover my sister, Emily, standing there, luggage in hand, her eyes gleaming with an air of absolute entitlement. "I will reside here," she declared, sweeping past me as if the dwelling were already her own. By 8, my mother's voice pierced through the phone, sharp and practiced. "We are doubling your rental payment to offset our new expenses." When I mentioned my intention to vacate, she laughed. They both laughed. I could hear Emily in the background, and my father's familiar chuckle bled through the connection. They believed they had cornered me, that I would yield, that I would endure this humiliation to retain the abode I was already financing. They had completely underestimated me. I once believed that family provided a sanctuary, that shared blood forged unbreakable bonds, but I have since learned that kin can wield the sharpest blade. I was the one who consistently paid the rent on time, the one who repaired the leaking pipes and replaced the broken blinds. I sustained the apartment. My sister, meanwhile, had drifted from one occupation to another, her failures cushioned by parental sympathy. She's simply finding her path, they would say, and I wanted to believe them because if she was merely lost, she might one day discover her way. But the morning she proclaimed herself my new housemate, the truth was laid bare. She wasn't lost. She was an opportunist, and my parents weren't blind. They were accomplices. The omens had always been present. The subtle comments. My mother's query, "Do you truly require so much space all to yourself?" My father's reminder that families assist one another. Initially, I dismissed it, but the frequency increased. Then came the impromptu inspection visits. Emily trailed behind, her gaze sweeping over the flat like a vulture circling its prey. The betrayal was not a singular event. It was a slowly tightening noose. By the time I felt its constriction around my neck, they were already pulling. I did not protest. I did not plead. I simply acquiesced. "Very well. I will move." The relief in their voices was palpable. They believed they had triumphed, that I was but what I was truly doing was honing my strategy. My plan did not necessitate shouting or conflict. It required silence, self-control, and patience. So, I meticulously packed my belongings, carton by carton. Each evening after work, I quietly loaded my car. I made no proclamation, gave no forewarning, and when the last of my personal effects were gone, I returned, not for garments or books, but for everything else. The furnishings, the appliances, the rug I had purchased for the sitting room, the curtains I had installed, the table I had assembled with blistered palms. Piece by piece, I stripped the dwelling to its bare framework. By the time I was finished, the place was a hollow, echoing void. The morning my family arrived to claim their victory, they opened the door to a skeletal carcass. There was no sofa to recline on, no bed for Emily, no microwave, no lamps, no shelves, just stark, white walls and a floor as empty as their allegiance. Emily's shriek fractured the stillness. "What have you done?" I stood in the entrance, the keys dangling from my finger. I retrieved what is rightfully mine. My mother stammered, "You cannot do this." "I purchased it all," I stated calmly. "Every fork, every chair, every piece of fabric. The rent you doubled was not for me, it was for you. Consider it reimbursement." I did not linger for their retort. I dropped the keys into my father's stunned hand, turned, and departed. Behind me, pandemonium erupted. Accusations, demands, curses. But I felt none of it, only the serene gratification of a move executed with surgical precision. Of course, they attempted to manipulate the narrative. Calls, messages, and threats availed in guilt. "You are selfish. You abandoned your kin." I disregarded them. What they were unaware of was that I had already secured a new residence in Chicago. It was more compact, certainly, but it was exclusively mine, funded with my own money, and untouched by their avarice. I furnished it with everything I had taken. Each item served as a testament not to loss, but to liberation. The confrontation occurred a week later. Emily appeared again, her voice quivering with rage. "You ruined everything. How could you leave us with nothing?" I truly looked at her. She had always conducted herself like a waiting princess, but now she was simply a woman divested of her illusions. "You ruined yourself," I replied, my voice steady. "I merely ceased subsidizing your comfort." Her mouth opened, then closed. No words emerged. For the first time, she comprehended the magnitude of her dependency, and for the first time, I felt no remorse. They had hoped to shatter me, to compel me to submit under the weight of obligation and blood, but I did not. Instead, I gave them what they demanded: space. Only I left them with nothing to fill it. Now, when I enter my apartment, I breathe freely. The furnishings are positioned precisely where I placed them, untouched by their hands. The silence is my own, not imposed upon me, but chosen. I reflect on that morning, the knock, the laughter, the arrogance, and I smile. They thought they had ensnared me, but all they did was provide the perfect pretext to depart and take everything with me. In the end, retribution was not a conflagration. It was not boisterous. It was an act of subtraction, the removal of myself, my endeavor, my investment,